Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. This is your SEC weekly preview, where each and every week we're going to go over some of the top games that are taking place in the Southeast Conference. Along with me is Vincent Turner, our host, our founder, our grand poobah. Everything 100 Yards of Football revolves around Vincent. And our co-host also is Juan Daniels, the former Georgia Bulldawg and you're the current scout for the Auburn Tigers right now. And we're so grateful to have you on. SEC action last week. There were a lot of really good games. We'll talk about them a little bit. There's a lot going on this week. Vincent, I'm going to start with you. The pressure to win has been turned up at least one full notch from where we were maybe just a couple of weeks ago, where some of these teams that are playing right now, it's win and you're in, and if you don't, goodbye. The season may not be over for you. You'll get a bowl game, but your chance of making the playoff, especially from the SEC level, is turning up, isn't it?
No question about it. I think what I read today, actually, I've seen this on social media. Everybody says this. Let's don't even have the bowl games. Let's just turn it into a playoff and just up the 12 teams to about 24 teams. Because basically, if you don't make the college football playoffs, essentially your season is over. So what you have in the greatest conference of all of football, and I've been saying it for weeks, it's playoff time in the state of Tennessee. Elimination. Back to you, Harper.
Well, it's interesting that you put it that way. Remember just a couple of years ago, Juan, 4 teams, and that's the way it's going to be. And forget that. That didn't work. I mean, you got 5 conferences and no room for anybody outside the Power 5 to get in. They've obviously made some changes. But Juan, give me your perspective in terms of just the importance of the games and how the matchups are strategically designed, although it's just the way that the schedule unfolds. But there are so many important games, and we're going to go into those in just a minute. But the way it works out, the pressure, for example, with Georgia and your alma mater, Georgia, your alma mater, and Texas, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But critical game for Texas, absolutely important.
Yeah, I mean, during this time right now, the SEC is still kind of wide open, even though you have a undefeated Texas A&M and an undefeated Alabama in the conference. I mean, everybody is on edge. You look at Vanderbilt last week, they absolutely had to win that game in order to stay alive. And so, again, gone are the days where it was just four teams and that's it. The great thing about this 12-team playoff is any team can have an opportunity to win. Look at Ohio State last year with 2 losses. No one would have thought that would have happened. And in the past, there's no way that they would even had an opportunity to play for a national championship.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Well, you mentioned the conference standings. So I'm going to look over and say A&M and Alabama, you're right, 6-0. Georgia has played 7 games. They play this week against Texas. This is their last SEC game, right? They'll get their 8th game in. They're 6-1. Ole Miss is 5-1. Vandy is 4-2. Oklahoma is 3-2, and pretty much out is Tennessee 3-3. Missouri 2-3, LSU, Florida 2-4 apiece, Kentucky, et cetera, et cetera. I won't go over the Auburn Tigers. We'll talk about them in just a moment. But the race for the top in the SEC championship game right now, it's A&M and Alabama. Pretty much that's it, right, Vincent? There's no chance for Georgia, even if they get a win. Something else has to happen.
No question about it. Look like we're going to have the Aggies coming to Atlanta for the first time in school history. And Alabama, of course, that 2.5-hour drive coming up, from 20 West to 20 East, like they're going to be raiding Mercedes-Benz come December.
Again.
Yes, again.
Like Herb Brooks said in the movie Miracle. Again. Juan, let's just get to the action right now. We're going to start with the 2 idle teams, the ones that have bye weeks. And, coincidentally, it just happens to be Auburn and Vanderbilt. You were in Nashville watching the game that these 2 played one another last week. It goes to overtime. Nail biter, right? Did you hit your wife in the ribs every time they scored a touchdown, or did she hit you equally as hard when Vandy did something? I can't imagine a very exciting game, but not being there. Tell us what your perspective was in being at the game.
It was a great atmosphere, and it was funny too because literally probably 4 or 5 minutes before the game, it almost seemed like the stadium was kind of half empty. But when that ball kicked off, I mean, it was full go.
That's a late arriving crowd, isn't it? There must be something really important going on outside
I
because they
think
don't care
so.
about watching warm-ups.
Yeah, they're probably finishing up some studies, from one of their classes or something like that. But it was electric. The game going back and forth. But hats off to Vandy, what Clark Lee has done, and Diego Pavia is the real deal. And if he's not at least in consideration for going to New York, for the Heisman, then shame on the committee, because he is everything for Vanderbilt. Without him, I mean, they don't survive. But for a guy, again, play after play, time after time, when he needed it, when they needed it, he was able to come through. So it was an awesome atmosphere, awesome game. Auburn's offense finally woke up, and they had a good game. To Vincent's point, if Auburn gives Ashton a little bit of time, he'll be able to perform. And so for him to perform well and pretty much go toe to toe with Pavia was a pretty exciting thing to see.
Okay, but we have your perspective before we go to Vincent, and I just let's put your son aside for a moment, and you're watching the other quarterback. I'm not going to call him Baker Mayfield, but he has that kind of toughness. I think you're a little gritty, and everything centers around me. I get it, but I'm not selfish in the way that I run the offense. His distribution to me was magical in the way that he can go deep with the receivers, he can go short with the receivers, he can hit the tight end over the middle, he can dump it off. He has great pocket awareness in his presence on the field, and I think everyone rallies around him in a similar manner to what you would see with Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay. Am I going out of my line by just saying, is that too much?
No, absolutely not. You're 100% right. And you just talk about a guy that has just that it factor, and he has that it factor. He's one of those guys that you could just kind of see his team elevate as he's on the field, and he just makes plays. The pocket would break down, and he'd either scramble and run for 20 yards, or he'd kind of run around in the backfield. Somebody's open, and then he'd find them. There was one play where we were basically all in his face, and you're like, there's no way he can see this guy that's wide open down the field. He throws it, busted coverage, and there's 40, 50-yard touchdown pass. So his pocket awareness, his field awareness, he's the definition of a field general, and he displayed that. He displayed that last week.
Yeah, at the college level, that's critically important in it. Whatever it is, he's got it, and I recognize that as well. Vincent, I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about Ashton, but before we do, Diego P, as we call him, you've talked about a few guys that deserve a trip to New York on that Heisman Saturday. Has Diego impressed you enough to where you may have to have a fourth or fifth seat? Unfortunately, there's only room for three, but give us your impression, at least what he's done. I thought that Vanderbilt would kind of tail off during the middle portion of the season. They certainly haven't. They do have that one loss to Bama, but everything else has been just roses for them.
Well, like I said before we started this show, I think our first show, I remember him what he said at the SEC Media Days here in Atlanta. He said, we both to be here. He said, Vanderbilt is going to challenge for the conference championship, and we both to be on a national scale. See, it's something about big-time players. They play when the moment gets bigger. It's something about this young man that when I saw him at the SEC Media Days and he said that at a school like Vanderbilt that's never had history of winning, they were the doormats back in the 70s and 80s. And for him to say that on that level, be honest, I thought he was crazy. Then, like you said, Harper, I was following you. I kept waiting for Vanderbilt to drop off. I said, he can't keep this up. Then they beat South Carolina this year. Then the Alabama game. Think about this. He threw 2 picks inside the red zone against Alabama. If he doesn't do that, Vanderbilt is in that football game.
Yeah.
But I always say this. If you talk the talk and you walk it, Vanderbilt, you at another level. Of course, the young man deserves a seat in New York. But there's one thing I want to tell him right now. Diego, after the game, stay away from Johnny Manziel because I saw you on social media partying down there with him in South Beach. That's the only thing. No question about it. That young man deserves a seat in New York.
Yeah. Yeah, but not with a drink with an umbrella in it while you're there. Wait, please wait for
Yes,
that.
sir.
All right,
Yes,
give
sir.
me Vincent. Give me Ashton's Daniels. Give me Ashton Daniels overview. He had a pretty good game. Now I'm telling you, played well. It was a
Well,
45-38 final that goes to overtime. So just to let our fans know a little bit, paying attention to what's going on there.
well, Hopper, you've been knowing me for a while, almost going on a good 2 years. We've had some really serious conversations. We became very close, and I tell the truth. I don't hide. I don't try to hide. I don't care. But I said this: Auburn is the best team in the country. What, they 4-6? It just pains me if they would have made it. And this is no disrespect to the War Eagle Nation and no other player out there at Auburn, but if my man Hugh Freeze would have made a quarterback change early in the season, Auburn would be right there, I think, in the mix. We talking about the conference championship. See, I saw Mr. Daniels' son, and I go back 2 years ago when he played against Colorado on Friday night, and I know he could spin the football. It was no surprise to me that he played well on Saturday, and those the facts. Cam Coleman had over 100 yards. Eric Singleton had over 100 yards. Mr. Daniels had close to 400 yards pass, and they just weren't able to close the door. But to me, that's painful to me. Just think if Auburn would have made that change, how potent that offense would have been. War Eagle. Back to you, Hop.
No excuses for the Tigers or for War Eagle Nation, Juan, but you've got 6 top 25 teams on your schedule, and you're 3-0. You lose to Oklahoma, Texas A&M, who, by the way, is number 3 in the country, Georgia, who's number 5 in the country. You lose to Missouri, who was number 16 at the time, and then Vanderbilt, who was number 16 at the time. You got Alabama at the end of the year. I mean, this is a daunting schedule that you guys have had. And I'm not asking you to pick anything apart. I just, in my opinion, if the offensive line were a little bit better. Now, how many of those guys are coming back for next year? Is there going to be a solid group that, hey, they went through it, they were young and inexperienced? They're going to be so much better next year. You just wait and see.
I think there's going to be 3 out of 5 of those guys that are going to be coming back. You take a look at, what would it look like if we would have had a quarterback change and maybe a different play caller. To Vince's point, there's a good chance that we'd be in the mix. But you know what? Even without all of that, we were in those games, and it's just a matter of making over hump and then closing those out. So from a cultural standpoint, that's what they need to build towards, is closing those games out. If you go to overtime or 2 overtime games, Vanderbilt, Missouri, you got to close those games out. Texas A&M, you're down, by 6 points. You have the ball with 2 minutes left to go in the game. You got to close it out. Same with Oklahoma. So
you got to learn to win, and you got to stay winning when the opportunity it presents itself in each and every game. And it's so close. The competitive nature of this is amazing. All right, let's talk about this upcoming Saturday at 12 o'clock on ESPN. You got South Carolina. They're 3-6. They're going against the undefeated and 6-0 in the conference. They're 9-0 overall. Texas A&M Aggies. I think Texas A&M have one of the easiest paths to get to the playoff. University of Texas San Antonio, Notre Dame, right? They beat Notre Dame earlier in the year, and that's one of the 2 losses that the Irish had. Your Auburn Tigers, Mississippi State, Florida, Arkansas, LSU, Missouri, USC, South Carolina, that's this game, and then Samford and Texas. So really only 2 ranked opponents, with 3 throughout the course of the year. And in the SEC alone, there's 6 teams. So very easy path. Juan, I'll start with you. What do you think about this game? And what does South Carolina have to do to pull some sort of an upset there in Texas?
I tell you what, I mean, you talk about another team that's just been very close, and that's South Carolina. They had an opportunity to upset Alabama and then just didn't finish it. So right now, South Carolina is just kind of playing for pride, which, that can be a scary, scary situation, especially for this Texas A&M team. This is a trap game. I don't think that Texas A&M is going to fall for it. I don't think that they're going to stumble. But again, let them, they should know that they're going to get South Carolina's best shot.
Vincent, your thoughts here. Again, 9-0 going against 3-6. On paper, it doesn't look like a matchup, but South Carolina can play, and they've had some close games. They've had some tough losses, but I'm I know you're impressed with the Gamecocks, even though they're 1-6 in the SEC. I think they're a better team than what they're showing right now.
There's no question about it. I just think it's unfortunate. They've had so many problems in their offensive line, a lot of injuries. The offensive line coach got fired. What I think about the fourth or fifth game of the season, they bye week, they fired offensive coordinator Mike Shula. I think Shane Beamer's not kind of feeling the pressure on being 3-6, but I keep saying this. They lost a lot of outstanding talent on the defensive side of the ball. They went to in an NFL draft and they just haven't replaced it. And Lenoir Sellers, as much as he's tried to play well, he's played with injuries. He just hasn't been a one-man wrecking crew. But I told y'all this on the show last week. I said I wanted to see what the Aggies do in Columbia, Missouri against Missouri. They came away 38-17. So I'm a big believer in Mike Elko and the Aggies. They can win it all. They got a top 20 run defense. They got a very explosive offense. Marcel Reed, Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion, Turn York, all NFL talent. Now I'm believing in the 12th man. Because that was the game. Remember what I said? I say A&M over the years, I always had this opportunity. It's one game they always slipped it. They don't never boast to lose. To me, they've came over the fountain. Go Aggies. Back to you, Hawk.
Well, I'm looking at South Carolina's schedule. They started against Virginia Tech. They win. They go against South Carolina State. Then in order, Vanderbilt. They're, number 9 in the country. Missouri, Kentucky, LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. Then they get a break. They go against the Sun Belt team called Coastal Carolina. They'll play them next week. And then their final game, obviously, with their regional rival, and that is the Clemson Tigers. That's a daunting schedule, but they've lost 6 of their last 7. So it's they need to get a win and certainly want to feel good about themselves. But that game, again, that's a 12 noon kick, and that will be on ESPN. The 9-0 Texas A&M Aggies against the 3-6 South Carolina Gamecocks. Next game here, LSU. Pretty much we've known that it's going to be a tough road for them. They have lost 4 of their last 5 after a 4-0 start, Vincent. LSU goes against your alma mater, the Arkansas Razorbacks. Pig Sooie is 2-7. They started 2-0. They've lost 7 in a row. So both these teams really want to get themselves a win.
Well, basically, when you look at this football game, I'm going to start with LSU. Can we believe after 4 games they was ranked in the top 5, and then all of a sudden the screws came apart? And then with Arkansas, we knew Sam Pittman coming into the season, he was going to be on the hot seat, and he got let go. So I'm looking at this game. I'm going to call it the coach's game. Because which school is going to hire their new head coach once the season ends? Arkansas, I'm going to start with my school. Lost to Mississippi State 38-35. Tylen Green, who's played good football. That's what's so really frustrating with Arkansas. He's been a real good quarterback this season. A lot of NFL scouts are starting to rate him pretty high, like a 3rd or 4th round pick. Mike Washington has been a good running back for the Hogs. But Bobby Petrino, everybody's saying the offense was going to be well, and he was taking over. Stop the madness. Stop the madness. 18 penalties for 183 yards. I call it sloppy, sloppy, sloppy. So Pig Sooie, I'm just looking who's going to be the next head coach. And with LSU, I'm going to leave it with Juan and give it back to you, Hawk. To the LSU Nation, go on and pay Brian Kelly his money. Because right now, y'all really starting to look like buffoons in the media. And I'm going to give it back to you, Hawk.
All right, Juan, your figure or 2 on this matchup here and these 2 teams.
Just right now, both of these teams are playing for pride. This will be an interesting matchup because of how high-powered Arkansas's offense is, as well as how great LSU's defense is. So the tale is going to be can Arkansas stop LSU? Can LSU score? It'll be interesting. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, and if that's a low-scoring game, that actually kind of favors Arkansas, because I think that they'll probably be able to pull out 1 or 2 more drives to get them points to actually pull out this upset.
Yeah, both teams have talent all over the field, and LSU just, like I said, fall apart the seams. They're 5-4 right now, in losing 4 out of the last 5. So that game is a 12:45 start on the SEC network. Next one we're going to look at here. This one, for all the history of college football, is one that should be for the ages. I just struggle with Oklahoma. Last year they were nowhere to be found, and this year it's like every time that they get within that, we're going to be in the top 10, maybe in the top 5. They lose to Texas there in the Red River rivalry. I want to make sure I say that correctly. And then 2 weeks later, they lose to Ole Miss. They're still a very good football team. They had to play Michigan, Auburn, Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama. They still on their schedule have Missouri, and then they finish against LSU. Juan, I'll start with you. What a great thing that would happen if somehow or another Oklahoma is able to figure out Alabama and pull out an upset there in Tuscaloosa.
Very, very interesting game. One of the things that I noticed last week is when Alabama played LSU, LSU it was 20-9. So I think that Oklahoma defensively is a lot better than what LSU has, and then of course offensively they have John Mateer, who should be fully healthy, and they also had a bye week, so they're had some extra preparation for their. Look for I think possibly a high scoring game, but also too I think that Oklahoma may pull this one out.
Okay, I tried to bait you by saying the word upset before I asked the question.
Yeah.
You didn't give it to me. You didn't take the bait. So this is not your upset of the week. Okay, That's okay. It's okay. They're the real deal, Vincent, especially obviously coming off that loss to Florida State at the beginning of the year. They've been all serious. It's almost as if Nick Saban is in the room every day. They do their business. They take care of it, and they are playing well. I don't see any reason why they should lose to Oklahoma. It's just another obstacle in the way for them. Am I correct there with Crimson Tide?
Well, there's no question about it. You think about when they lost the opening game of the season, had Caleb DeBoer was going to get run out of town. A lot of people saying the young man from Martin, Tennessee wasn't the
They
answer.
had the keys in the car and the ignition already going with an apple and a roadmap. They had it ready for him, right? They were ready. Forget the buyout. Just go. We don't want anything to do with you losing to Florida State. And what's happened since?
And the young man, like I said, from Martin, Tennessee, changed everything. I haven't seen a quarterback, probably in my lifetime, that's played this well at a big time program that's came out of nowhere with so much pressure on him. Think about that. So much pressure in the schedule they had, in the wins that they ran off. 2,400 yards, 21 touchdowns, 2 INTs. If he has a game that he's been having over the last few weeks, in my opinion, he wins the Heisman, Mr. Ty Simpson. And think about the motivation of Roll Tide. They lost to Oklahoma at this time of the year, and that knocked them out of the college football playoffs. And they didn't play that well against the Oklahoma team that wasn't that good last year. So there's a lot of motivation. And don't think them players that was on that team last year hasn't forgotten that. But however, I got to kind of agree with Warren. This is a different Oklahoma team. John McTeer is not Jackson Arnold. And one thing, he's gotten healthy now. And one thing that's going to be very critical to me in this football game, Ty Simpson has played against some great talented defenses this year. But this Oklahoma defense, they special. 34 sacks. They've only allowed 127 points. And what's the young man's name? Mason Thomas out of Miami is a player. This is going to be a real good football game. And like I say, Ty Simpson, this is going to be a huge challenge. Leonard Skinner, back to you, Harper.
All right. Well, again, 7-2 Oklahoma. They're 3-2 in the conference, and they've lost 2 of their last 4. Goes against 8-1 Alabama. Alabama is 6-0 in the conference and riding real pretty right now from where they're sitting. So next game we're going to look at here. This is one of those ones that we call them the money games. New Mexico State comes in at 3-6. They've got a guy named Logan Fife who's their quarterback. He's passed for over 2,000 yards. He has 11 touchdowns. He's averaging about 234 yards a game. They're in the lower end in terms of scoring. They scored about 21 points a game. That's 112. Their defense is 77's kind of middle of the road. Tennessee, they've got New Mexico State, Florida, and Vandy. Vincent, I'll start with you because as a native Tennessean, they're 6-3 right now. They should be 7-3, and all of their second and third string guys should be able to play by halftime or early in the third quarter.
I would say that, but I'm gonna hold up on that for a minute. Tennessee had a very disappointing loss 2 weeks ago that knocked them out of the college football playoffs. It's going to be interesting to me to see is Josh Heupel going to have them ready to play, come out and be proficient in that first quarter. The quarterback you just mentioned from New Mexico State is a pretty good football player. In New Mexico State defense has 15 turnovers in the last 6 games.
Yeah.
So that's a defense that takes the ball away. Probably the most disappointing thing with me and being a Tennessee fan also is that I really thought this team should have been in the mix for the college football playoffs. They had their chances. The Georgia game back early in the season, that was a winnable game. That game got away from them. Winning to Alabama was in that game in the first half. That got away from them. The Oklahoma game, they had so many chances to really outplayed Oklahoma in the first half. But it just wasn't going to happen, and a lot of faithful at the Big Orange Nation was very upset after that football game. And I guess when you look at a team, I'm talking about the University of Tennessee, that's got a 2,700-yard passer, a 700-yard rusher. You got 3 receivers. One has got 808 yards. The second one has got 703 yards. The other one's got 638. You kind of disappointed as a fan. But you had your opportunity. So looking at this football game, I wouldn't say it's going to be an easy win. I'm just want to see if this Tennessee team is going to be able to bounce back and play Tennessee football. Back to you, Hop.
One, it's called a money game because New Mexico State's going to get a nice little check for going out there, but they're going to play hard. Don't get me wrong. But 3-6 that's not very impressive right now. This is not going to be an upset game. It's just basically, does Tennessee focus? Do they concentrate? Do they get their work done?
Yeah, it's more of a stat game right now. You mentioned Vincent, 2,700 yards. This is the opportunity for Joey Aguilar to get over 3,000 yards, and I think that you may end up having a 1,000-yard receiver. So they're going to get their stats, and to your point, Harp, they're going to be done by halftime or maybe mid-third quarter, so other people can get their plays. Another opportunity to also work on some things because they do have a big-time matchup at the end of the year versus Vanderbilt, and they want Vanderbilt to be in the same boat as they are with SEC losses.
Yeah, well, they want to knock them out if they have any chance at all for a spot in the playoff. Next game we're going to look at here. When I saw Tennessee Tech playing at Kentucky, just like the previous game, I'm thinking, okay, well, whatever. Let me say just one little thing about Tennessee Tech. They're 10-0. They average 45 points a game. Kikoa Vesperas is their quarterback. He's got 2,100 yards, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Little kid from Eatonton, Washington, is tearing it up right now. So for a smaller, lower-level school to go to Kentucky, this would be a Super Bowl come true. So, Juan, I'm going to start with you. I'm not saying there's an upset, but can you imagine if it's 14-10, how many people at Tennessee Tech are going to be taking pictures of the scoreboard, just saying whether it's the first, second, or third quarter, we're there, we're against a Power 5 conference school, and we can run with them for a little while.
Yeah, I think the only 14-10 you're going to get is when they have their first commercial break, from the time standpoint rolling down. Yeah. I think Kentucky absolutely blasts Tennessee Tech. Kentucky's been playing very well as of late. Completely shut down Auburn. Completely shut down Florida. I mean, absolutely just destroyed Florida last week. They're playing for some pride right now. They in their minds have a bowl, on their mind. If they go and they beat upset of Tennessee and upset of Vanderbilt, which they have that on their mind, they're 6-6 and they have a bowl game. And that's just another thing for Stoops to say, hey, maybe I am the person that needs to be here, but this is a stepping stone right here to get them closer to a bowl game.
Well, they're 4-5 right now, Vincent, and they've lost 5 of their last 6. They beat Auburn and then Florida, but they're averaging 24 points a game. They give up 24 points a game. Those are both middle of the pack, maybe in the lower portion of that. Your thoughts here on this one?
I gotta kind of agree with Mr. Juan Daniels. Kentucky is going to be playing for a bowl game. Think about their season. They had Texas on the ropes. Should have won that football game in overtime. Played kind of head to head with Tennessee for almost what 3 quarters. But what's got me looking in the view mirror of them is that, man, what they did last week against Florida, dominated, had close to almost 300 yards rushing, and what they did against Auburn, went into War Eagle, Jordan Hare Stadium, and came away with a victory. They've been playing some real good football over the last couple of weeks, and they got a bowl game that they're playing for, and Mark Stoops is probably going to continue as the head coach at the University of Kentucky. And think about this. You know, Kentucky, we look at them and we look at Mark Stoops, and a lot of people trying to figure out the job he's done. But when we look at it, he's done a pretty good job overall and it's kept Kentucky relevant. And that team could have really went in the tank early on, but they played some very good football. So I expect them to really be up and ready to roll against Tennessee Tech. And like you said, Hop, that's a very good FCS school in Tennessee Tech now. 10-0. I think they ranked fifth in the FCS polls. But at the end of the day, I think this is a Kentucky team. They're playing for a lot more, and that's to get to a bowl game. And probably the Music City Bowl in Nashville.
Okay, 1:30 on the SEC network. Again, 10-0 Tennessee Tech goes to 4-5 Kentucky. A game that maybe last year would have put Ole Miss into the playoff had they not lost to the Florida Gators. Now they get to return the favor. Florida at 3-6. Ole Miss is 9-1. Vincent, we'll start with you. The Gators have lost 6 of their last 8. Their only wins are against Texas, Mississippi State, and Long Island earlier in the year. What do the Gators need to do to represent themselves, play well enough to be in the game there at the end, and have a chance to win?
Last week, I was very disappointed in the Florida Gators' performance. I thought that they'll be ready to play against Kentucky. Obviously, there's a lot of issues. They've got to have a head coach. We don't know who the head coach is going to be. DJ Lagway is kind of like over the last few weeks has took some steps back. Where he's on the year 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, 11 INTs. But the alarming thing that stuck out of my mind in that game last week against Kentucky is that defense played so well against Georgia, and they come back and give up 235 yards on the ground to Kentucky. That really blew my mind. So I'm asking myself, is the Gators cashing in on the season? Now with Ole Miss, revenge. As you just mentioned, Harp, this was the team that put them out of the college football playoffs last year. And I'm going to say this to our co-host, to the man that knows it all. Look at him, he's getting ready to smile. He told us at the beginning of the year, Ole Miss with their offense and their receivers was going to be something hard to handle this season. And he never lied. The legend himself, Harper LaBelle, Ole Miss has a very good football team. They can win it all. And they got the hottest coach in America right now. His name is Lane Kiffin. He's been mentioned as with the New York Giants, the LSU Tigers, the Auburn Tigers, the Florida Gators. His life is at another level right now. I wish I was him. I'm just going to be honest with you. Back to you, Harp.
Well, I was impressed with the deep crossing routes, the wide receivers, the tight end, everybody a part of that program. Their passing game is on par with anybody else that's out there. So, Juan, I want your impression on that. 2 questions. And then the other would be, do you think that Lane Kiffin is as hot as Vincent just said? Because I know he takes his shirt off a lot. Is that a hot thing for you to get to look at?
Yeah, again, those crossing routes, just the offense just in general is just dynamic. And there's nothing more exciting than to see Lane Kiffin running down the sidelines, throwing up his play sheet. That's pretty cool.
Taking
the
visor and tossing that when he gets really upset. Okay,
exactly. Yeah, but Lane Kiffin right now is he's the talk of the town. You go into this game, Florida is going to be playing hard, but they're playing probably for an audition to say, hey, Lane, when you come over here and take this job as a Florida Gator, please keep me, when you actually come over here. this is going to be a runaway.
Juan, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. Would Lane Kiffin even consider it? Because that to me would be a step down right now. It's a step down.
It would be. I think it would be a step down. But think about it. When he came to Ole Miss, it was kind of a step down from where he where he was before. But again, just that money. Florida's got money from a recruiting. It's a lot easier to recruit Florida, Alabama, and Georgia than it is, I would say, possibly Mississippi.
Sure.
So he's going to have the talent. You're going to get people all over the place wanting to play for Lane Kiffin. I mean, if he can do it at Ole Miss, he can definitely do it at Florida.
Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. I just think he is going to be more of pick the litter. He's not going to take the job because it's a step up for him or a step down in a way that he might have 5 years ago. I think he's really earned the spot and proven that with the right coaches around him, he can pick the school that he wants to go to or the team, whether that be in the National Football League. I don't know if he really would want to leave for that. I just don't know. But time will tell. Anyway, so this game again, Florida at 3-6, Ole Miss, they're so good. I'm telling you, folks, they are a very good football team. They're ranked number 7 in the country. Next game we're going to look at, this is a big one now. Juan, I'm going to start with you because this is your Bulldogs. It's 7:30, ABC, nationally televised. If Texas wins, they still have a chance. If they don't, I'm saying bye-bye. I'm giving the Rose Queen wave, like what she get, on January 1st. They are 7-2 right now. They're 4-1 in the conference. They've lost to Ohio State and to Florida. They've beaten Oklahoma, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, and if they get away with beating Georgia before they have A&M at the end of the year, completely different. But the Bulldogs, they're 8-1. They played hard last week against Mississippi State. I think they said this was a tune-up game, and Kirby has them ready to roll. What say you?
This is going to be a battle of Texas's defense versus Georgia's offense. If Texas can hold Georgia with the running game and even the passing game, getting pressure on Gunnar Stockton, they're going to have a really, really good chance of possibly pulling the upset on this game right here. I just don't, for whatever reason, feel like Arch Manning is going to take that next step against this good Georgia team. For him to go in there and then play in Sanford Stadium, it's going to be loud. It's going to be absolutely insane. He did get in, in the game last year, did not do very well. So, and I just kind of see that kind of, that thing kind of happening again. But if they can just muster up just maybe a couple of turnovers or just keep the game close, they may have an opportunity to win at the end with a field goal.
Before I go to Vincent, give me your perspective as a former player there, how savvy the fans are. Not just the student section, but the fans will also know this is Texas. We owe them.
Yeah. I mean, here's one thing about just going in there. They have a lot of pride. And you can best believe when they got beat by Alabama at home, that hurt worse than anything that you could ever imagine. So they're going to show up. They're going to show out. They're going to make sure that Arch Manning and that entire team is rattled. So that's going to be a 12th man situation when they go to Sanford Stadium.
Vincent, I'm going to call them the get her done boys because Gunnar Stockton is right over 2,000 yards. He's not leading any way, shape, or form in terms of not even the conference but the nation. But 15 touchdowns, that's good enough to get her done. Nate Frazier has 575 yards. That's not impressive in terms of the leading rushers in college football right now, or close to double that number. He's only got 3 touchdowns, but he gets her done. And then Zachariah Branch is the leading receiver. He's got 500 yards. There's guys that have double that as well, 3 touchdowns, but they're getting it done. They score 33 points a game. They only give up 19.8, so they're in the top 20 or at least 25. Tell me what Georgia needs to do. If they just play well, I think they should romp. If they play really well, right, and show the rest of the nation, this is what we've been waiting to get to all year. We're finally in 5th gear. We've been in 2nd and 3rd for most of the season. Is there anything that what I'm saying that resonates with you?
Everything you just said hit it right on the nail. I mean, walking around here in the state of Georgia and being in the metro Atlanta area, there's a lot of Georgia fans that walk around here with their chest stuck out, and they got a right to. When you hire a head coach, You want to always say, especially from these big time programs, can this coach come in and lead us to a level of excellence, a level of champion? Kirby Smart has done that at another level. There's no better program in the country right now that's at a level like Georgia. I'm sorry. I'm even putting them up there above Ohio State. And Kirby Smart is the best coach in the country. Think about this. There were so many questions about Georgia coming into the season. Start at the quarterback position, Gunnar Stockton. We didn't really know whether or not he was going to be the man. Last week against Mississippi State, he proved to me one thing. He might need to get a seat up there in New York. He played flawless. The offensive line is Georgia bred and what they do last week against Mississippi State because a lot of people going into their game said Mississippi State might have a chance for upset.
Man, there were cowbells being rung all over the country saying this is our time.
Thank you.
No,
And what
41-21 says no, it's not even close to being your time.
305 yards on the ground. And then Nate Frazier, since we bring up the Alabama game, remember he had that key fumble in that game that changed the kind of the momentum of that football game. Was in the doghouse for like maybe a week or two, where he showed you out of your city of LA, Hollywood, 12 carries, 186 yards, 15 yards a pop. Defensively, a young man from where your area at, Mr. Hopper LaBelle and Juan Daniels, KJ Bolden might be the best safety I've seen played at Georgia. I'm talking about even all the way back to Jake Scott. And CJ Allen, he's going to be the next great linebacker that's going to come out of Georgia that's going to go into the NFL. What I'm saying is this. Georgia is starting to play their best football. And right now, in my mind, they're a serious team that can win it all. In Texas, the only chance you got, Arch Manning played real well 2 weeks ago against Vanderbilt. Your offense had, 23 first downs, 328 yards passing, another 100 yards on the ground. For Texas, in my opinion, to be in that football game, Arch Manning need to play, as everyone said he was, a generational talent. For Texas to even be in that football game. Because Saturday night in Athens, that football team, the University of Georgia, they're getting ready to play their best football of the season. And I'm talking about championship level. That's a hell of a football program. It hurts me to say it a little bit because I'm from the state of Tennessee. But right now, we're looking at greatness. And we're looking at Kirby Smart up there in the arena of a Nick Saban, a Bill Bryant, a John McKay. I'm just going to put it out there. That young man has done an outstanding job with that program, man. And Georgia playing on Saturday night in Athens, it's a lot of things got to go well for Texas to win that football game. But the most important thing, Arch Manning has to play well. If not, they're going to get run off the field, in my opinion. Back to you, Hart.
Juan, there was a lot there. Give me your secondary comment. I saw you nodding and leaning forward. I figure there's more that you want to.
No, I just, I agree with everything that Vincent said. It's going to be a wild, crazy atmosphere. If this one right here, it's up to Arch. What can Arch do? Can Arch help and get them over the hump? If not, it's going to be a long, long night for Texas and Athens.
Well, speaking of long nights, this game is at 7:30. The other game at 7:45. The last one that we'll be seeing for the evening goes on the SEC network, and this is where Mississippi State, who did get throttled last week, they lose by 20 points to Georgia. When they were expected to play a lot better there in Starkville and in front of the home fans. They're 5-5. They've lost 5 of their last 6. They lost to Tennessee, A&M, Florida, Texas, Georgia. Their only win in that stretch is against Arkansas, and they're going against Missouri Tigers. Missouri 6-3. Their shot disappeared about 2 weeks ago. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games. They lost to Bama, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M. Formidable opponents, to say the least, but their win against Auburn, they're averaging 33 points a game. They give up about 19 right now. Vincent, first and foremost, we'll start with you. Give me your thoughts here against Tigers and the Bulldogs.
Right quick, last week, Mississippi State, as you just mentioned, Mr. Hopper LaBelle, the Cowbells, even myself, I thought Mississippi State had a chance to even be competitive in that Georgia game. But I'm going to say this, they gave up 305 yards on the ground. Now they playing Missouri, Even though Missouri lost to Texas A&M last week, 38-17, but Missouri had two running backs that went over 100 yards. Jamal Roberts and Amon Hardy both went over 100 yards. Plain and simple. If Mississippi State doesn't shut the run down, Missouri's going to have a field day and win that football game. And when I look at it overall, Mississippi State, you have a serious leak in your run defense. Back to you, Mr. LaBelle.
Well, Juan, the Tigers, they were nationally ranked. They lose to Alabama, as I mentioned. Then they beat Auburn. But I think that Vanderbilt game was the one that really goes, there's a hole that we can't plug. Because then A&M, they've got Oklahoma, and then they finish against Arkansas. They're bowl eligible. We get that. But there are some, we were so close. If I'm a Tiger fan, we had a chance here with 3 weeks to go. But it's disappeared right before their very eyes.
Yeah, and it's tough too because again, running through this SEC schedule, there weren't really any dog teams. And anybody could have pulled an upset at any point in time. But I think this was one of the ones that you called out earlier, Harper, that said that they're starting off great, but then they may end up falling apart. Just kind of at the end of the season, and this has actually come to fruition. And but I see them pulling this game out against Mississippi State. Mississippi State, their run defense is not very good. I just see this as a ground and pound for Missouri. They don't even really have to put the ball in the air very much, and I see them coming away with a victory against Mississippi State. And having an opportunity to have a respectable bowl game.
Yeah, right, and a reward for those guys that and all the hard work that they had. They get a couple of days to enjoy a vacation-like atmosphere as far as football is concerned, to where you get to go to another city and you get some gear, right, and a couple of bucks, and then hopefully have a great time. Guys, as we close, the Tennessee, Missouri, LSU, Florida, I'll throw Auburn in there, maybe the South Carolina, teams that had a chance earlier in the year that have just slowly but surely showed that they just can't compete at the same level with the upper tier guys. They're close, but they'd probably be winning most any other conference if they were in the Big 12, for example, or the ACC. But when you've got A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas, and Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma in front of you, that you got to leapfrog past them. What a tough conference. Vincent, I'll start with you.
You named some teams right now that, that's the reason they ranked in the top 12 in the college football playoffs. And I like the point you just brought up, Harp. The South Carolinas, the Auburns, I would have liked to see if they would have played in the Big 12, how much success they would have had. And that's no disrespect to the Big 12 conference, even to the Big 10 conference. That's why I keep saying week in and week out, the best football is played down here in the South, in the Southeastern Conference. NFL talent all the way through the conference, great quarterback play. We got maybe two quarterbacks that might end up in New York, Diego and Mr. Ty Simpson. So, hey, let's get it on. Like the great Marvin Gaye. We got two great games coming up on Saturday, man. Think about it. OU and Alabama, Texas and Georgia in prime time. Marvin Gaye. Let's get it on. Back to you, Hop.
Well, I'm going to have final thoughts with you, Juan. I'm not going to let's get it on, and we're going to talk about how hot Lane Kiffin is. We've had some great coaches today. But I do want to know your perspective here going into week 11 week 12 of NCAA, SEC especially action. You're seeing the haves and the have-nots, and it doesn't take much, but it's such a grueling schedule. And you've been to how many different cities now, getting a chance to see Auburn play, to realize, gosh, it is so tough to even play at this level and to win at this level. The winner should receive the prize because they've obviously been through a gauntlet.
Yeah, I mean, look at Texas A&M. I mean, they've had played some pretty good teams. Look at Georgia. Look at Alabama. And then and even Ole Miss, and then for it to come down literally, to Texas A&M will most likely go, even if they lose one. Same thing with Alabama. Obviously, they've got to take care of business against Oklahoma, but these two, you're going in the SEC 6-0. I mean, that's a tough thing to do. and the other teams are just kind of beating themselves up. But to go to Oklahoma, to go to Texas A&M, to play Georgia, to play all of these tough teams and play them so close. I mean, yes, there's a talent gap, but everybody's pretty much, kind of in the same area. But to Vincent's point, to your point, we go and play in the ACC, go in the Big 12, go somewhere else, and next thing you know, we're singing a different tune.
Well, there you have it, folks. Week 12 preview here for the SEC, the Southeastern Conference. We've gone over all 8 of the games that they have. The 2 teams that obviously have the bye week are Auburn and Vanderbilt. And to the winner goes the spoils. And so we'll find out here by this time next week who is just one step further, one step closer to being eligible to play not only for the SEC championship, but to get into the 12-team college playoff. What a reward it'll be for all those teams. So for Juan Daniels, former Bulldog, Auburn Tiger now, for former Arkansas Razorback, Pig Suey, who you didn't hear him give the fight song today for the first time.
Okay.
What? Are you going to do it now? Go ahead. What do you got?
To the fans out there that's been following us on the SEC show, I got a little bit beside myself last week, and to the fans out there from the University of Memphis down there in Memphis, Tennessee, we got to eat crow tonight. And we got to eat crow and give apology to the legend himself, Mr. Hopper LaBelle. My Memphis Tigers lost a heartbreaking game in the conference, the American Athletic Conference, to Tulane last Friday night. And all practical purposes, they are eliminated from the college football playoffs. So if Mr. LaBelle want me to give the fight song one more time to the University of Memphis, I will do. But this is a message from all the fans down there in Memphis, Tennessee to Mr. LaBelle. You are the king, we bow down. There will be no more football talking out of Memphis no more. We are done and we are finished. We are the kitty cats now.
Oh,
Dun, 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 boom. Back to you, Hart.
Well, Tulane ends up they're 7-2 right now overall, and they're 4-1 in the conference. Navy is 5-1 in the conference. The South Florida Bulls are 4-1 in the conference. North Texas, the Mean Green, they're 4-1. East Carolina is 4-1. Memphis falls to 4-2 with that loss to Tulane, and obviously that's just enough for there's too many teams above them, and they've shown signs all year long. And when I called them the kitty cats earlier, okay, show me what you got, guys. Show me what you got. And they kept winning. So I've been scolded. Uncle Opie's mad at me, and Ray at the barbershop. Everybody's mad at me. They're all mad at me. But you know what? I do wish them well. I love Tom the Tiger and everything that's that, and all the terrific things. It's not Tony the Tiger. It's not Mike the Tiger. All right. Anyways, but congratulations to Memphis at 8-2, still a great season. This close, guys, this close, amazing. So let's end there. We'll appreciate everybody. We really do. We appreciate everybody watching. Share on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. Let others know that we're passionate about the Southeastern Conference and the football that's played there, and you know that when you watch the show. So we appreciate it. So. For Vincent Turner, for Juan Daniels, I'm Harper LaBelle saying thank you for tuning in, everybody. We hope that you have a